You've probably tried to lose weight before, maybe more times than you want to count. And when your doctor finally prescribed Wegovy or Zepbound, or when you found a way to get the compounded version, something felt different this time. This was the real thing. The medication was actually working for everyone else. And for a while, maybe it did work. The appetite went down, the scale moved. You started to believe this was finally it, and then it stopped. The scale just stopped. You're still taking your shot every week, you haven't cheated, you're doing everything right, but the weight isn't moving. And you're watching other people talk about losing 30, 40, 50 pounds while you're stuck. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a thought keeps creeping in. Maybe I'm just one of the ones it doesn't work for. I want to stop you right there because that thought, as understandable as it is almost certainly wrong. And I'm going to show you exactly why your body is doing this and what to do about it. There's also one mistake I see patients make at this exact moment that almost guarantees they never break through, and we'll get to that too. So hitting a plateau is not a sign of the medication stopped working. It's not a sign you failed. It's your body doing exactly what it was built to do. And once you understand what that actually means, the path forward becomes a lot clearer. So think about this from your body's perspective. It has no idea you're trying to lose weight for your health. All it knows is that it has been getting less food than usual for months. In the world your biology was designed for, that meant one thing. So it does what any good survival system would do. It fights back in ways you can't feel and you can't see. And it does it through three very specific mechanisms. But before we name them, how do you know you're actually in a true plateau versus a normal stall? Now, a short stall can happen for a few days around hormonal shifts, travel, high sodium meal. A true plateau is different. 4 to 6 weeks without any meaningful movement despite staying consistent. If that's where you are, something needs to change. More patience isn't the answer. Now, the first mechanism that causes this is what we call metabolic slowdown. As you lose weight, your body burns fewer calories, partly because you're carrying less mass, and partly because it becomes more efficient at using the energy it gets. Scientists call this adaptive thermogenesis. Think of it like your body quietly turning down the thermostat to stretch the fuel supply. The second mechanism is appetite creep. When you started your medication, your appetite dropped sharply. Food felt less interesting, you got full faster. Over time, your body adapts to that suppression. The effect softens, cravings return, portions drift up. Often so gradually that most people don't notice until they're weeks into a stall. And here's something I get asked about a lot at this point. Does your body build a tolerance to the medication itself the way it might with other drugs? And the answer is no. GLP-1 medications don't stop working because your body learns to block them. What changes is everything around them. Your metabolism, your appetite baseline, your muscle mass. The medication's still doing its job. Your body's just adapted to the environment that it created. The third mechanism, and this one surprises most people, is lean muscle mass loss. Some of the weight you've already lost wasn't fat. A meaningful portion of it was lean mass, which includes muscle. Muscle is your most metabolically active tissue. It burns calories just sitting there. And when you lose it, you're already slowing metabolism, slows down even more. So this is where you have the most control. And it's a piece most people on these medications never hear about. So your body is running on all of these at the same time. Slower metabolism, softening appetite suppression, muscle loss compounding the slowdown. That's why a plateau can feel so stubborn even when you're doing everything right. Now, one thing before we get into other solutions. If the scale has been flat, but your clothes are fitting differently, that's actually a good sign, not a plateau. That's body recomposition. Losing fat while building or maintaining muscle simultaneously. The scale doesn't capture that trade. A flat number doesn't mean nothing's happening. If that's your situation, stay the course and keep watching because what's coming next still applies to you. Now, here's what I want you to know about all three of these. Each one is fixable. And the first fix is going to surprise you because it has nothing to do with what you're eating or how much you're moving. Now, here's the most single actionable section. It starts with your dose. Specifically, the fact that most patients who plateau are not on the right one. The titration schedule for these medications exists for one reason: to protect you from side effects. They're not designed to get you the most effective dose quickly. What happens in practice is patients move up slowly, tolerate certain doses, and stay there for months without anyone asking whether there's room to go higher. Higher doses generally produce more weight loss, though the benefit tends to level off rather than scale perfectly as you go up. The point is that most patients plateau not because they've hit a biological ceiling, but because they've never reached a dose where the medication does the best work. If your weight loss has stalled and you're tolerating your current dose without significant side effects, that's the combination that makes a dose increase worth discussing with your doctor. The goal is to find the dose where the medication does its best work for you, and for a lot of patients, they never actually get there. Not because they couldn't tolerate more, but because nobody asked the question. Side effects from going up slowly are manageable for most people, and you don't have to push through significant nausea just to get there. So one question to bring to your next appointment: am I meeting my weight loss goals on this dose? And if not, is there room to go higher? That single conversation has moved things for a lot of patients who thought they had hit a permanent ceiling. For some patients, even an optimized dose on the current medication isn't enough to break through though. And there's one medication switch with stronger evidence behind it than almost anything else in this space right now. If you're on semaglutide, Wegovy, or Ozempic, and you're generally pushed your dose as far as it goes and you're still not moving, it's worth talking to your doctor about switching to tirzepatide, which is Zepbound or Mounjaro. A direct head-to-head trial compared these two medications, and tirzepatide came out ahead in total weight loss. The reason comes down to how they work. Semaglutide works through one hormonal pathway, GLP-1, which controls appetite and how quickly your stomach empties. Tirzepatide adds a second pathway on top of that called GIP, which also affects how your body stores and processes fat. So you have two signals instead of one, and that difference in mechanism produces real differences in outcomes for a lot of patients. Now, cost and coverage vary significantly between the two, so that's worth a direct conversation with your provider and pharmacist before assuming anything. But here's the thing about all of this. Dose optimization, switching medications, none of it works the way it should if the lifestyle foundation isn't in place. Switching medications without addressing what's actually driving the plateau is like putting a bigger engine in a car with flat tires. What we're covering next is what makes any medication work better, and for a lot of patients is where the real progress comes from. Now let's talk about the pieces actually driving a lot of plateaus and that almost nobody in these medications has been told about. We talked earlier about how your body loses lean mass as part of the weight loss process. Now this is where it actually matters. When you lose weight on a GLP-1 medication, a meaningful portion of what you lose isn't fat. It's lean muscle, along with water and other tissue. GLP-1 medications actually do better on this than a lot of other weight loss methods, but it still matters because muscle is your most metabolically active tissue. It burns calories just sitting there, and every pound of muscle that goes takes a small piece of your metabolic rate with it. So put that together with the metabolic slowdown we talked about earlier, your body turning down the thermostat, and you can see why some plateaus feel so stubborn. Your metabolism is being slowed from two directions at once. Now the good news is, this is the part of the equation where what you actually do makes the biggest difference. Protein is the most important nutrient for protecting muscle during weight loss. The target during active weight loss is roughly 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of lean body weight per day. Now, lean body weight means your weight minus the fat. So for someone carrying extra weight, that number looks quite different from what the scale says. So your doctor or a dietitian can help you land on your specific target. But knowing the concept helps you to have that conversation. So the practical piece that matters most for people in these medications: eat protein first at every meal. When your appetite is suppressed and portions are smaller, protein gets pushed aside by whatever is easiest to eat. If you don't put it first, you often don't get enough. So Greek yogurt, eggs, fish, cottage cheese, nut butters, a quality protein shake. Lower volume, higher density. You don't need to eat a lot, you just need to make what you eat count. But protein alone isn't enough though. Without giving your muscles a reason to stay, even adequate protein won't fully prevent lean mass loss. So resistance training is the other half of this. You need to do 3 sessions a week, totaling around 60 to 90 minutes. Compound your movements, do squats, rows, push-ups, deadlifts. Exercises that recruit multiple muscle groups at once. Now you don't need a gym, you just need consistency. And here's something most patients haven't heard about this combination. Pairing GLP-1 therapy with regular resistance training does things the medication alone doesn't. It helps preserve bone density, which these medications can actually decrease on their own. It reduces visceral fat more effectively, and it lowers systemic inflammation. So this combination outperforms a medication by itself in ways that go well beyond what the scale shows. So protecting your muscle is the most controllable part of this whole equation. But muscle loss is only one of the 3 mechanisms driving your plateau. The other 2 have everything to do with the environment your body is operating in every day. And most people on these medications are only managing one of them. So beyond medication itself, there are 3 lifestyle factors that directly determine whether your medication can do its best work. Think of them as the environment the medication operates on. Get them right here and the medication works better. If you ignore them, and even the right dose of the right drug has less to work with. So the most obvious one is food, and specifically what happens to your eating patterns as the appetite suppression softens over time. In the beginning, eating less feels almost effortless, but as that effect gradually fades, food intake tends to quietly drift back towards your old habits. Most people don't catch it until they're already weeks into a stall. So a food log for 1 or 2 weeks, not forever, just temporarily, is one of the most useful resets you can do. It recalibrates your awareness without requiring a major overhaul. And when you look at what you're eating, remember that you're consuming less overall, which means every calorie has to earn its place. Ultra-processed foods, liquid calories, alcohol, They take up limited space your appetite allows without giving your body what it needs to maintain muscle and support metabolism. That space is just way too valuable to waste. The second factor is stress. And this is where I want to push back on the idea that stress is a soft lifestyle issue. It isn't. Chronic stress raises cortisol, and elevated cortisol directly increases appetite. It drives cravings for calorie-dense foods and works against your fat metabolism at a hormonal level. Your medication is actively trying to regulate hunger signals. Chronic stress is pulling in the opposite direction every single day. So if you want a practical place to start, the research consistently points to short, regular walks. 3 10-minute walks a week produces meaningful reductions in cortisol. Not a gym, not a program, 3 short walks. Now the third factor is sleep, and it operates through a similar hormonal mechanism. Getting less than 7 hours consistently disrupts ghrelin and leptin. These are the hormones that tell your body when it's hungry and when it's full. When those signals are off, your medication is working against your own biology rather than with it. For some patients, sleep isn't a contributing factor to the plateau. It's the primary one. And the most effective single change in research is consistent wake time. The same time every morning, including weekends. Your circadian rhythm anchors your hunger and satiety hormones, and the wake time is what sets that rhythm. So get the wake time consistent first, and the rest of your sleep often improves on its own. So all of that, the dose, the medication, the food, the stress, the sleep, that's what you should be doing. Now here's the single most damaging thing I see patients do when they hit a plateau instead. The mistake is stopping the medication. I understand the logic completely. The shot doesn't seem to be doing anything. You're spending money every week on something that feels like it stopped working, so why keep going? The research is clear that the more weight you lose on these medications, the more likely you are to stay on them, which means a plateau is actually the moment that matters most. Push through it, and the momentum compounds. Stop and you lose everything you built. People who stop these medications regain more than half their lost weight within a year. The plateau feels like the medication failed, but stopping it is what makes that permanent. A plateau is just a signal to adjust. It's not a signal to quit. Medication holidays fall in the same category. Taking breaks is not a strategy. It's not supported by evidence, and it disrupts the hormonal and metabolic momentum built over months. Almost every time I've seen a patient try this, they end up further back than where they started. So don't wait out a true plateau passively either. 4 to 6 weeks without meaningful movement means something needs to change. The dose, food, exercise, sleep, or some combination. Waiting's not a plan. And if the scale is the only thing you're using to measure progress, it's worth knowing that fluid shifts, hormonal changes, and muscle building all move the scale independently of fat loss. Your trend over 3 to 4 weeks is that signal. Now a single day's number, that's just noise. So if you've been doing everything we've been covering and you're still not moving after 3 months, that's not a reason to give up. That's a signal to have a bigger conversation with your doctor. And that's exactly what we're going to cover now. So what does that bigger conversation actually look like? Well, here's the benchmark that matters. 3 months of medication, less than 5% of your body weight loss. At 200 pounds, that's 10 pounds. If you're there, even after working through the dose, the lifestyle factors, all of it, medical guidelines say it's time to change the plan. Not tweak it, change it. Now what that change looks like depends on where you are. For some patients, it's a dose increase that wasn't fully explored. For others, it's a switch to tirzepatide we talked about earlier. For others, it still means seeing a specialist in obesity medicine who can look at the full picture with fresh eyes. The right next step varies, but staying on a plan that clearly isn't working isn't one of the options. There's actually a term for that in medicine. It's called treatment inertia. It's a tendency to keep doing what isn't working because changing it feels complicated. Medical guidelines specifically call it out as one of the main drivers of poor long-term outcomes in obesity treatment. So don't let this happen to you. And for a smaller group of patients, metabolic surgery belongs in the conversation. And I want to say this clearly because it's often misunderstood. Surgery isn't a last resort. For the right patient, it's a tool, and it produces outcomes that medication alone can't match. The patient who should be asking about it are those with a BMI of 35 or above, or between 30 and 35, with a metabolic condition like type 2 diabetes, who haven't responded adequately even with fully optimized medication plans. Now, guidelines in this area have shifted significantly in recent years. So if you've been told previously that you didn't qualify, that conversation may be worth revisiting with a current specialist. So however that conversation goes, go in prepared. Know your current dose. Know your weight trend over the past 3 months. Know how consistently you've been hitting your protein target and doing resistance training. Come in with data, not just frustration. Providers are going to respond a whole lot different to a patient who walks in with a clear picture of what they've been trying and what hasn't moved. And that conversation really leads to better outcomes every time. So at the start, I told you the thought, maybe I'm just not the ones that doesn't work for, is almost certainly wrong. And now you can see why. Your body isn't broken. It's doing exactly what biology designed it to do when it senses sustained weight loss. And now you know how to stay one step ahead of it. Now, the most important thing you can do today is to start the conversation about your dose. That's the lowest hanging fruit and the most commonly missed. From there, protect your lean mass. Protein first at every meal. resistance training 3 times a week, and take sleep and stress as seriously as you take food. Those are the 3 things that create the environment where the medication can actually do its job. And if you've done all that for 3 months and you're still under a 5% loss, don't wait. Take what you've learned today into that appointment and push for a plan change. A plateau is just a signal to adjust. Don't accept it as the answer. But there's one more piece that sits underneath all of this for some patients, something that can quietly blunt the results even when everything else is in place. We're going to cover that in the next video, because I have a patient who reversed it in 6 months with no medication, 3 specific changes, and every lab normalized. That story and exactly how they did it is what we're covering next here.